A few years ago, there was a quarterback who was going to Oregon, who was considered one of the best in school history, was seen as a guy who could go off to the NFL, and could be the next great quarterback after Justin Herbert. The Tyler Shuck experiment didn't really work, and Anthony Brown was sort of just a game manager, so this guy was next up. His name was Ty Thompson. Coming out of Arizona, he was one of the top quarterbacks in his high school class, was seen as the future of the program, but unfortunately was not able to really make things work at Oregon, and now he has decided to switch positions at his second school, which was Tulane. In today's video, I want to go back in time and talk about how Ty Thompson became a borderline 5-star recruit, what happened at both Oregon and Tulane, and what he is up to now. But before we get started, if you're a big fan of college football, be sure to subscribe to the channel, leave a like if you want to support today's video, and let me know what player, team, topic, or situation I can cover next. Now let's get started and talk about what happened to Ty Thompson. So in order to understand what happened to Ty Thompson, we first need to go back in time. Thompson started playing football at the age of 5, before he would change to tackle football at 11. His athleticism led him to playing multiple sports, but ultimately, it was his decision to stick to football, and it started as a wide receiver in flag football, where he was coached by former Nebraska quarterback Bobby Newcomb. He always had a knack for rallying his teams, and by the time he got to middle school, he made the switch that would change his life. He switched to the quarterback in middle school when it became clear that he was a dual-threat beast and had tremendous athletic abilities. He began to work with multiple trainers such as former NFL quarterback coach Dan Manucci and former NFL All-Pro quarterback Donovan McNabb. As he started to blow up, he leaned on his faith for direction and guidance. He said, quote, "I have faith in myself, I have faith in my teammates, I have faith in my coaches, and God is on my side, so I feel like I've got everything." Thompson became the full-time starter at Mesquite High School since his sophomore year, and in total, he passed for 9,291 passing yards, 996 rushing yards, and 94 touchdowns in 32 games that he had played. He was a huge name both on and off the field in town, as his coach said, quote, "He put Mesquite on the map with a lot of people asking about our program and the school due to what he has done. He is an inspiration to a lot of people in what he does and how he does it, and Thompson is the role model that parents should want their kids to look up to." He'd eventually become the top player in the state of Arizona, and some thought he would bolt for a bigger school, but he instead stayed loyal. Ty said, quote, "There's been an opportunity for me to leave Mesquite High School and go play somewhere that is bigger and has more talent, but I am a loyal person and loyal to Mesquite." He had another spectacular year and eventually became a huge blue chip recruit. Some actually listed him as a 5-star, but most had him as a 4, and he gained 18 offers from schools like Miami, Wisconsin, Arizona State, and many others. He also had a 4.3 GPA and was doing his due diligence on where he would end up going. His coach said, quote, "I'm not sure if there was another kid in the country who went on more unofficial visits than Ty." Eventually, Thompson would choose the Oregon Ducks, and he became the highest-ranked quarterback to ever commit to the Ducks. His national overall ranking surpassed Dennis Dixon's number 53 spot, and he was coming in right after the legendary Justin Herbert. Why the Ducks? He said, quote, "I got the feeling right when I got on campus that this was the place for me. I visited in early March and fell in love with the coaches and the program as a whole," Thompson said. "They produce a ton of NFL talent and won the Pac-12 last year, but the culture that they create with the coaches and everyone who's with the team is nothing like I've ever seen, and just the feeling I got when I walked in there was like I was at home." Thompson would continue to dominate, improve his skills, and recruit and prepare for Oregon, but fans were getting super hyped for him to come in already, including the staff. Joe Moorhead said, quote, "He's incredibly talented. We've had a pretty good idea of that throughout the recruitment process, as all the 5 stars were earned, and he had a very impressive resume as a high school quarterback." In total, Thompson accumulated over 11,000 total yards, and he was 7-0 as a starting quarterback in playoff games. He led his high school to back-to-back 4A football titles, and he was ready to start his next chapter at Oregon. Scouts thought he was a huge deal. As one said, quote, "Because Ty has a strong arm, can throw in the pocket, and can make all the throws, that's the number one thing. He's proved last year he can also win games with his legs, and that combination is rare. He's a pocket passer who can extend on the edge." According to 24/7 Sports, Thompson was a 4-star recruit, the number 7 quarterback, and the 40th best player in the class of 2021. So how did he end up doing at Oregon? Well, let's take a look. Okay, so before we talk about him at Oregon, go down to the comment section below and drop a player I should do a what happened to video on next. I've already done guys like Julian Fleming and Brock Vandegrift, so be sure to check out that playlist and drop a future suggestion for who I should cover next this week. Okay, now back to the video. Since Ty Thompson was a 5-star recruit, people were super excited for when he got to Eugene. He's one of the most hyped up quarterbacks in school history, and Thompson said, quote, I expect to come in and work hard. I'll do whatever I can to put myself in the right situation as well. After what many probably describe as an underwhelming season from Tyler Shough in 2020, there was a hole in the Oregon quarterback room since Herbert's departure for the NFL. Whether or not it was realistic, fans were clamoring to see Ty Thompson get playing time as a true freshman heading into the 2021 season. Throughout both the spring and fall camp, Thompson was battling with both Jay Butterfield and Robbie Ashford for second-team reps, and Thompson had the job, at least at one point. Both Mario Cristobal and Joe Moorhead had praised Thompson for his maturity and poise as a freshman, but Anthony Brown was going to be the starter. Thompson ended up appearing in a game against Stony Brook, and we saw a glimpse. He finished one half of action, completing 6 of 9 passes for 82 yards and 2 total touchdowns. As I said, he didn't play that much that year because Anthony Brown got the benefit of the doubt, but after watching a couple of so-so performances, it felt like there was a massive elephant in the room, and a lot of people wanted to see Ty get on the field. But overall, as a freshman in 2021, he was 7 of 15 for 87 yards and 2 touchdowns with 1 pick. In 2022, many thought that he would eventually take over, but that would not end up happening either, and that was because they got a transfer out of the portal in Bo Nix. They also brought in new head coach Dan Lanning, and it looked like Ty Thompson's time was starting to run thin. Bo Nix came in and won the job, and finished 2022 with 3,593 yards, 29 touchdowns, and 7 picks. He also had over 500 rushing yards and 14 scores. Ty ended up completing half of his 20 passing attempts and threw 2 picks and no touchdowns. Instead of going off to the NFL, Nix would once again return to Oregon in 2023, which did not end up helping out Ty, as normally Bo shouldn't have had that extra year eligibility and Ty should have been the starter. Why hadn't he transferred? Well, he said, quote, "I feel like at this point, I've built a very good bond and laid some very strong roots here in Oregon. I've been with this program for 2.5 years now, and I've given everything to them. To just up and leave because something didn't go my way, or because there might be different opportunities, I felt like that would be extremely selfish. In this era of college football, you often see highly rated players like Thompson choose to transfer quite quickly and not wait their turn. But honestly, I did not blame him, as after the 2023 season, it was time for him to move on. In 2023 with Oregon, he did pass for 297 yards with 4 touchdowns and a pick, but Oregon was bringing in Austin Novosad, they also had Dante Moore, and Luke Moga was signed for 2024. Thompson decided to try to find some playing time, and the void left by Michael Pratt at Tulane seemed to be a really good fit. He was a former 5-star who had spent some time at Oregon, and now maybe he could follow it up and do a good job at Tulane. Sadly though, that would not end up happening either. The Tulane Green Wave had ended up finding a hidden gem, as freshman quarterback Darian Mensah would beat out Thompson for the starting job. This was extremely upsetting to Ty, as he had waited nearly 4 years and was not even given an opportunity to start for Tulane. Maybe Mensah was going to flame out? No. In fact, Mensah became one of the best freshman quarterbacks in college football and one of the top group of 5 quarterbacks overall, and now after a tremendous season, he all of a sudden got an opportunity to get a huge payday at Duke as they kicked Malik Murphy out the door and decided to make Mensah a Blue Devil. He was also out for the bowl game, so Thompson got an opportunity to start his first career game, as that would come against Florida in their bowl matchup. Unfortunately, things did not go well for Ty, as in that 33-8 loss to the Gators, he went 11 of 29 for 125 yards with 1 touchdown and 3 picks. He completed 38% of his passes, and unfortunately, it was a disastrous outing for him. He looked ill-prepared, looked behind, and just had no idea what he was doing. Sure, Florida was one of the hottest teams in the SEC by the end of the year, but Thompson just really looked out of it and could not get anything going. He was backup quarterback for most of the year, and in total compiled stats of 199 yards with 3 touchdowns and 3 picks, but he also had 6 scores on the ground, proving that he was valuable with his legs. If you remember right, he had insane athleticism coming out of high school, so maybe he could test the portal and find one more school. He ended up deciding to enter the portal, but then withdrew a couple of days later, and then he made another change. He's going to be a tight end in 2025. Instead of trying to figure things out at the quarterback position, he's now going to try to pull off the infamous tight end switch and save his career, and maybe find his way into the NFL. We've seen plenty of backup quarterbacks change to that tight end spot, and at 6'4" and over 200 pounds, he'll need to bulk up a little bit, but he should have an opportunity to see the field right away this year, and using his crazy athleticism, he should hopefully be able to have a good season and make an impact in an offense. Based on research, it seems like Ty was an absolute stand-up guy, and I'm sure he has things planned for after college and will likely be a success. Unfortunately, he didn't live up to being the highest rated quarterback in Oregon history, but the jury is still out on his career. quarterback hasn't worked for him, but maybe he'll have a big year at tight end and be one of those guys that's drafted in the 4th or 5th round and has a long NFL career. I mean, we've seen stuff like that happen before, but we'll just have to wait and see. What do you guys think though? If you're an Oregon fan, why did Ty Thompson never see the field? Why didn't he make it work at Tulane? And how do you think he'll do in the future? Also be sure to let me know a future player I could cover next. Also be sure to let me know down below a player I could cover next. Leave a like if you want to support today's video, and check out all more of the videos on the end screen. Hope to see you guys again soon, but until next time, peace.